I am preparing a Knobbeltjesvlaai, or Crumble Tart. I'm making this as a true Limburgse vlaai, a regional specialty that holds since 2024 a protected geographical indication, or PGI. This means a true Limburgse vlaai can only be made by bakers in the provinces of Limburg, in either Belgium or the Netherlands. To carry the name, the tart must follow strict quality rules. Like for example, it must be between 10 and 30 centimeters in diameter. It must have a base of yeast dough and it must be baked together with its filling. In Limburg, vlaai is essential to life. We eat it when a baby is born, when visiting relatives, at birthdays, at funerals. There is simply always a reason for vlaai. I got 4 relatives visiting when they learned I was making this vlaai, just to help me eat it all. The recipe I'm going to show you is for a 29 cm or an 11.5 inch vlaai. The first thing I'm going to do is preparing my pastry cream. I take 2 egg yolks and add half of my 100 grams of sugar. When you add sugar to egg yolks, you need to whisk immediately. If you wait, the sugar will burn the yolks, creating little hard bits that won't dissolve. I whisk until the yolks turn a pale white. Next, I whisk in 50 grams of vanilla pudding powder. To the slurry, I add just a splash from my 500 grams of milk to thin it out. The remainder of the milk goes into a pot with the rest of the sugar and I bring it to a boil. Once boiling, I transfer about a third of the hot milk to the egg mixture to temper the yolks. I bring everything back into the pot and boil for 1 minute to thicken. The vanilla pudding powder protects the egg yolks so they won't curdle while boiling. I transfer the cream to a tray to cool and cover it with plastic film, pressed directly onto the surface so no skin can form. For the dough, I take 135 grams of water and add 30 grams of sugar. I warm this in the microwave until it's just lukewarm and dissolve 5 grams of dried yeast. For the dry ingredients, I'm using 275 grams of sifted flour, and 7 grams of salt. After a quick mix, I add the water yeast mixture and 1 whole egg. I stir with a spoon until I can no longer mix it. I then transfer everything to my workbench and start kneading. Once the dough begins to form, I incorporate 75 grams of room temperature butter. Now, be prepared. Once you add the butter, this will become a very sticky mess. Don't be tempted to add more flour. Just keep kneading until the butter is fully incorporated. I knead intensely for 10 minutes, then round the dough and let it rest for 50 minutes under a kitchen towel. After 15 minutes, I give the dough a short second knead and let it rest again. While the dough is resting for a second time, I start with the knobbeltjes or crumbles. This is very simple. 4 equal parts of flour, almond flour, light brown sugar and butter. I'm using 150 grams of each. By hand, I knead everything until very rough dough starts to form. Be careful, if you overmix this, the crumbles will melt in the oven and you will lose that crunchy texture. With a paper cloth, I grease my tin with butter. I also preheat my oven to 220°C 430F. If you're enjoying this look into Belgian baking traditions, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. It will help me tremendously and continue to bring these recipes to your kitchen. My dough has now proofed for a second time, so I sprinkle on some flour and roll it out about half a centimeter thick. I transfer the dough to the tin. Now here is a crucial tip. Always make sure to relieve any tension in the dough before pressing it into the rim. If you pull or stretch it into place, it will shrink back. With my rolling pin, I cut away excess dough. I use a fork to loosen the cooled pastry cream and spread it evenly with a spatula. Finally, I add a generous layer of crumbles on top. I let the vlaai rest for one last time for 5 to 10 minutes before it goes into the oven. Every oven is a bit different, but for mine 20 minutes at 220°C is perfect. After removing it from the oven, wait 10 minutes before removing the tin and placing the vlaai on the cooling rack. This is the height of Belgian hospitality, best served with a good cup of coffee. Enjoy!